Hi, this is Sarah Marks, one of the librarians at UMass Lowell. This is a presentation I gave to a group of international teachers who came to the university to learn more about technology and education, among other things. These were teachers from all over the world, a lot of Middle Eastern, Southeast Asian, African countries that are not as commonly recognized within Wikipedia as the American and Western languages and nations are. So we wanted to give them a presentation about teaching with Wikipedia, something that might have been new to them. And it was a really amazing group, but I wanted to put up my slides for them and anyone to come back to at any time. This is a condensed version of the session that I did in February for this group, but there were 3 pages that we worked on. We worked from a program guide that was a guide created by the library to help keep these fellows organized, and we put our Wikipedia content in there, including links to their English language projects for their native countries. And then we didn't pick language-specific versions of Wikipedia because we wanted them to pick the language they felt most comfortable in. The second link is the Wikipedia Adventure, my favorite tool for brand new editors to begin learning how to edit Wikipedia. And if you haven't done it, I would highly suggest it. And then third, the tiny URL to the Google version of this presentation, where they were allowed to leave comments and questions. Quick facts about Wikipedia, things that most people don't often think about. The English Wikipedia alone has over 5 million articles, and it has 119 plus active editors. And when we talk about active editors in Wikipedia, we're talking about people who make 5 or more edits each month. So the number of active editors changes all the time, but if you want to be considered an active editor, that's all you have to do is make 5 edits each month. It's in almost 300 languages right now, but most of those have under 1 million articles. So there's a huge difference in how populated with information the English Wikipedia is and how very little there is in those languages. And if it's a language that's not from a European or an English speaker or a European language, there's less likeliness that we'll have those 1 million articles. When editing, there are 2 things I really want you to focus on. One's going to be the neutrality in the point of view of the article, what they call the neutral point of view policy, or NPOV. This really deals with a balance of perspective, not that we give equal time to every point of view, but that we don't give undue weight to one side or the other. And this is a really big issue for the English Wikipedia as far as political perspectives for many topics. But what the English language Wikipedia deals with is a lot of post-colonialism and Eurocentrism. It's very Eurocentric in the English language Wikipedia, and that isn't always the most neutral point of view, especially when we're looking at countries outside of Europe. So they really need to have a new voice and a different perspective to keep the balance there. The second is verifiability of your sources. Verifying your sources is critical, especially in the English Wikipedia, and in all of them. But how information is treated is different in every country. So some countries have far more access to information than others do. Some countries have government-controlled media sources, others don't. The key that we're looking for, especially in Wikipedia, is that things go through some sort of editorial review. And that can mean different things. That can mean it has an editor, and it goes through some type of review where other people read it and fact-check that information. Other cases, that's something more like a peer review process where other people knowledgeable in the field review the content to make sure it's accurate. And it's going to be different depending on each source. But as a result, Wikipedia likes to really focus on things like news, magazine sources, books, and scholarly content. So those peer-reviewed articles that professors are writing. What they try to avoid focusing on are things like blogs. Biased news sources like the Daily Mail have come under a lot of criticism for their efforts in destroying neutrality and verifiability. But also, you have things like government-run resources, which are not necessarily editorialized in review, but come from a unique point of view. So some countries, the government content is a really great source, and in others it's not so much. And in America, it might be falling the way of the not so much sometimes. But the key is to focus on where the information is coming from most accurately for your country and for the information sources that you want to use. One thing we really want you to consider while you're here in the US is going home and using Wikipedia to teach your students. What can it teach your students? First, it can teach critical thinking skills. Students have to engage in Wikipedia and, as they're editing, identify sources that are reliable and verifiable. They have to decide if information is leaning too far to one perspective, or if a perspective that they want to add is something that is worthy of mention and not just some fringe theory. So a lot of discussion has to go into, a lot of internal discussion sometimes has to go into the process of adding content. Information literacy is something we talk a lot about in the US and in European countries, and it's a narrower version of critical thinking. It's one of the many elements of it. To be able to effectively navigate the world of information is a huge skill that our students are learning here in higher education, and I think is something all students should always be learning. How do we evaluate the sources that we're using for information? How do we make sure that they're reliable and accurate, and that the person who's providing this information is authoritative in some way? Using Wikipedia as a teaching tool helps students understand this as they find sources that they want to add into the entries. For your students, it can have two other additional benefits. One, it's a way for them to practice their English language, if that's something you're working with them on. If they're engaged in the English language Wikipedia, it'll improve their ability to communicate in English. And also, it's an easy and free technology that students are already using as an information source. You're giving them a new set of skills when they learn how to use the back end and edit Wikipedia. This is a point in the discussion where we took a break from me talking and I let them have a few minutes in the Wikipedia adventure, getting started with editing Wikipedia. The struggle for any teacher in designing assignments related to Wikipedia, and I think especially for you all, is going to be deciding what kind of project. Do you want them engaged in the English language content related to your country? Allowing them to do this will increase the diversity of the perspective, move it farther away from a Eurocentric point of view and into a more balanced point of view, and it will also help your students become more proficient writing in English. And the second option is to improve the Wikipedia in your native language or languages. This will increase the content of Wikipedia related to your home and to the nation that you live in. And it's really easy for students who speak English and can translate English language articles to help move content into articles in other languages. Even starting with Google Translate as the path to translate, and then allowing everybody to have a more specific evaluation of that translation improves the Wikipedia content in your native language. This was our second moment of going into the Wikipedia adventure, and I did this to keep the students participating, the teachers participating, moving with activity, not just listening to me talk. I think you have two options when considering how to get your students involved in editing Wikipedia. The first is the one we've been talking about. That is improving the written articles by increasing the content in them, improving the content, adding citations. This is going to help them understand their research skills and identifying reliable sources. But option two is to create content. Wikipedia needs to find more images and videos and audio files to help flesh out the content, because everybody has a different way they prefer to learn. Some want to see it, some want to read it, some want to hear it. To give an entry, all of that kind of content just makes it a richer entry. It does require that you have an understanding of Creative Commons copyright, and if you're going to go in that direction, we'll talk about that at the time. But for now, know that you can ask them to create content, to create videos, to take pictures with their cameras, create audio files, play music that might be indigenous to your country, so that people can hear, not just read the entries, or see and not just read the entries. And finally, I have some homework for you. First, I would love for you to finish the Wikipedia adventure. They'll actually give you little badges to put that will automatically be added to your Wikipedia profile so that you can see them. Next, I would love for you to find one single entry that you're comfortable working on, either in English or your native language Wikipedia. And we've linked on that class guide to the projects in English for your country. By projects, we mean these are all Wikipedia English language articles that relate to your native countries. And those we've identified through the information you provided us. And after that, I'd like you to make one little edit to improve that entry. It can be correcting a spelling, making the way things read easier, fixing grammar, adding a citation, taking a picture that you own and adding it to the entry. It doesn't even have to be a big one, but I would love for you to change and improve Wikipedia before you leave the States. And that's everything I have. Good luck, and let me know if you need help.